On stage, Jasmina Nesik.
My name is Jasmina Nesic. I am an engineering manager at Nordnet. And my topic today is a mouthful. It's nurturing and recognizing individual growth in mob programming teams. But basically, what I'm trying to talk about these 10 minutes and answer is, do we see the individual, or do we just see an indistinguishable mess working together? So based on my own experience as an engineering manager of a team that has worked exclusively in a mob for the past few years, you will guess my answer. So I want to make the following 3 claims. Yes, we do see the individual even more clearly. And better yet, what we see is the 360 view of the individual. But best of all, we see the mob-improved individual. Now, to explain this, I need to start with a story. And it all started in November 2020, during remote working due to COVID pandemics. We've hired some new people into a team that needed to split. And then we took a brave decision and built the team entirely of new hires. What they shared is a passion for mob programming. So that team started mob programming, and basically they were doing awesome work. But more than that, their team spirit was admirable. And this was during remote working. They had actually never met in real life until some 6 months later. So this was a real success story, and I was happy to share the success story with the world. So what I did was gave a presentation to developers in another company to inspire them to try mob programming. And there I got an intriguing question. That's what an audience can do to you. They can ask a really hard question. So this one was, how do you measure individual performance? And of course, the question in itself was not hard to answer, because I could say how we do it. But that question actually kept me awake at night. The reason being, there was another more important question behind it. Is this why some managers do not promote mob programming? For fear that low performers would hide behind their teams. And it also opened my eyes to an even more important question. Is this why some developers insist on solo programming? For fear that their individual skill and their contribution would not be recognized. Now, this was interesting. So I realized I had a new mission. And my mission, as you will guess, is to tell the world that individual contribution is actually easier to assess in teams that do mob programming. So, how do we measure contribution anyway? There are too many wrong ways to do it, I would say, such as celebrating Jira crunching tickets. We don't do that. But then, how do we feel about heroes? Do we value heroes? We all know how tempting it is to be fascinated by those developers that single-handedly save the day time after time, isn't it? It's not really. When heroes get in the spotlight, what happens is their teams shrink behind them in their shadows. So that's not the way to do it either. What do we do? How do we see the individual? As a manager, when you observe the mob in action, you will see a lot of great stuff. You will see leadership, you will see curiosity, drive, domain knowledge. Yeah, whatever you are looking for is there. But every single one of these skills and behaviors cannot do much of on its own it needs all the other great stuff to complement it, and then miracles get created. And also, I told you you'd get a 360 view of the individual. So here's how that works. Basically, when teammates work in a mob, they really get to know each other. They know each other's skills, they know each other's weaknesses, and they are very happy to share what they see. So credit will be given to the teammates. There will be a lot of praise given about their colleagues. The one thing that you may need to look for more carefully is any improvement areas, because typically, in my experience, negative observations would not be shared as proactively. So you would need to listen to absence of praise most of the time. And I also promised you a mob-improved individual, this creature with many arms and many tools. And here is what I had in mind. Now, this is a geeky metaphor, but I would say that mob really works as a skill amplifier. In comes the individual skill, and then it gets amplified and comes out as a superpower of the team. And the magic is quite simple. Basically, not only does the individual skill help solve the task at hand, it also grows knowledge of the whole team. So there is the real superpower. So this is what we do at Nordnet. We've developed this tool for personal development and performance management, and this is really a visual representation of stuff that we value. So some skills and some behaviors, and then, for example, for a person that has average leadership skills and really deep domain knowledge, this is what it would look like. And then we do this for all the skills, all the behaviors around this circle. The further from the center, the better, of course. And you get a profile of that individual. So in a team, working in a mob, if we do this for every single individual, we put their profiles on top of each other, what we get is the profile of this mob team. And you can see how the mob capitalizes on all the skills of the individuals. And this would be the profile of the team, really powerful. That's a real superpower. So in conclusion, I would say that how you see the individual in a mob really depends on your organizational values. So if your organization fosters a culture of collaboration, if you value diversity, if you nurture psychological safety, and if you promote continuous learning, then mob programming could be just the thing for you, and it would certainly help you see the individuals more clearly and appreciate them more. That was my 10 minutes. Thank you for listening.